I'm on a challenging quest to design an automatic farm for every single item in the game of Minecraft. So with the introduction of wildflowers and leaf litter, I need to make some new farms. Hello there, Ray here. First up, let's take a look at my automatic wildflower farm. It works because applying bone meal in a birch forest or old growth forest will now no longer generate dandelions or poppies, but instead will generate the new wildflowers. This can be further automated by having a dispenser pointing into a grass block, and then when it's powered, it will have a chance of producing the new flower. This is done in my automatic farm by coming down underneath of here and having a dispenser pointing straight upwards into this block of grass. Once bone meal is going to place in tall and short grass pretty far up, as well as that chance of getting the wildflower. And my farm automatically breaks down the blocks into item form so we can store them. This is done by using some flowing water, as it can destroy flowers as well as grass. And this is all being controlled by a clock back here. It's a pretty simple clock. It's actually down here. It's just going in a little circle. And then that clock is not only giving power to the dispenser, but it's also coming through after a short delay, and it is powering these trapdoors. I also have a small pulse extender to keep the trapdoors open most of the time, with the on and off switch right here. Now once the water goes through, it just barely has enough time to reach the far end of the farm, where it will eventually push all the items into the second water stream and collect them all with some hoppers and chests down below, with it producing slightly more flowers than wheat seeds, producing almost 10,000 wildflowers per hour while only using 1,500 bone meal in that time. And you can get unlimited amount of bone meal per hour by using my simple bone meal farm here. Each section here produces 300 excess bone meal per hour, and it's really easy to build up. And I have the block by block tutorial on how to build this farm in this video here. Just make sure to build it in the birch biome if you want the wildflowers, or you can build it in other biomes to get the other types of flowers. Alternatively, you can bone meal the flower itself directly, which will produce one extra flower. So with a simple setup like this, dispensing directly onto the flower and having some mud there, we can have the items being picked up directly from the hopper underneath and stored away. And this simple design also works for the pink petals. But this is pretty expensive, as each flower costs 1 bone meal, where this farm over here can get you around 6.5 wildflowers by just using a single bone meal. Has the video deserved a like button yet? Now to get the new leaf litter item, we have to first actually get this from smelting down leaves, and each smelt will produce 1 leaf litter. But in order to get the leaves as well as the fuel to cook these, I first get the fuel by making some charcoal. I cook some logs down in a furnace into charcoal, but in order to get logs cooked, we also need some more fuel. And I get the initial fuel from actually repurposing azalea bushes as well as sticks, as these are actually flammable. So we're getting the leaves, the logs, as well as the fuel from this hopper line right here. And all of this is actually coming from a farm up above. This is my automatic azalea leaf farm, and it works by first the player planting in an azalea bush. And the way I do this AFK is by having the player holding the bushes in their offhand and riding in a minecart. And then what they're going to do is they're going to aim right towards this trapdoor here, which is opening and closing. This is important for the next step, but when the trapdoor does open up, it will give the player a location to click on this side here, and then the game is going to try to place in the block on this side of where the trapdoor is. So the azalea ends up getting planted on top of this rooted dirt. Once this azalea sapling is in place, we already have a dispenser here, which is being powered by these observer clocks that's going to be constantly trying to grow it up. And the dispenser can be refilled with bone meal using my moss farm I showed before. And a weird mechanic with azalea trees is that when they grow up, they actually create an update to the rooted dirt underneath of them. And I detect the change of this block using an observer, which is going to send power over here to this piston. And then the piston is going to extend, which is then going to power this repeater down here. And when the repeater powers, it's going to push this piston, which is holding the rooted dirt, which is going to move the entire tree trunk upwards. This will get the tree trunk high enough up so we can actually destroy it, as we want to get the logs from the tree in order to use it for charcoal as well as fuel. Only a small part of you have actually clicked that subscribe button, so let me know that you're a subscriber by commenting down below. The way we're destroying the tree is we're using 2 TNT dupers up here. This provides an infinite source of explosions, and we're dropping them at different heights to destroy different parts of the tree. And any extra leaves are getting blown up, and this is how we also get extra azalea bushes. Once destroyed, everything is going to be dropped as items, and then we're using this water stream to push all the items to some collection areas. One of the collection areas is right over here, where we purposely lock this hopper. That way the player can pick up their azaleas and restock their offhand when they come by this. After they picked up what they need, then they're going to unlock this torch here and allow the items to get collected into the chest. And the player's cart going over top of this detector rail right here is also going to send a signal over and up to the TNT to let them know to drop TNT while the player is far away so they don't take any damage. That way we don't need to use any beacons or food in order to heal the player. So that's how we're getting the logs as well as the sticks and the azalea bushes. But the leaf litter also requires actual leaves, and you either get these by using shears on them or by using a silk touch hoe. In my farm, I have the player using a hoe. That's because these things have a large amount of durability, so you can use them for a very long time before having to repair them. In order for the player to break down blocks with the hoe, they're going to be having to left click. So they got the hoe in the main hand and they're left clicking on all the blocks that are in front of them, while at the same time they're also holding down right click in order to plant the azalea saplings when they get moved over here. And it is possible for your character to hold down right click and left click at the same time. But if you hold both at the same time, the game's only going to do one of the actions each time. So no, sometimes it'll try to break the block, sometimes it'll try to place in a block, but whatever the game decides to do, it'll constantly do it. Like right now, it's not placing in the azalea, but deciding to break the block behind it. But we can change what order it's going to do stuff by making the character point away from any blocks. The next time you point towards a block, the game will have to decide if you're holding down right click or left click, as when you're holding down both, the game will only try to place something down every 4 game ticks, or it'll try to only break something every 4 game ticks. And this is why I have a trapdoor here that's flipping back and forth. That way, just in case the player comes into it and it's trying to break the trapdoor, it will flip down and it'll no longer be able to break it. Then it'll open up again, giving a chance for the player to place in the sapling. And this can be done using a telescope to aim just beyond this observer, so there's air in the background, but the trapdoor will pop up every once in a while. And you can even hold both these buttons while being AFK by pressing down right click then left click, and then when both buttons are pressed down, pressing F3 plus T. When this pops up, release both buttons, and now your player will automatically be holding down right click as well as left click, and you can actually tab over to a different window and do other things on your computer while your player is running the automatic farm. This video is brought to you by my monthly supporters. There's a few different ways you can join and it all helps me out. Otherwise, you can help me out for free just by sharing this video with your favorite Minecrafter. The player is aligned very precisely in order so that they can plant the azalea sapling, and after placing in the sapling and it grows up, the player is then moved across all these rails which are waterlogged, so they're moving really slowly. Plus, with Aqua Affinity, they can mine at the same speed despite being underneath the water, and they have a really nice hoe so they can easily instant mine all of the leaves in front of them. And you can even repair your hoe right here at the farm just by pulling out the items that come out of the furnaces rather than the hopper pulling them out, as this will give you all the XPs from these items as well as all the previous items that were smelted. Then you can see the player works really well at removing all the leaves that are in front of them while stair-stepping closer and closer to the tree in order to collect the lower ones, as well as break the most amount of leaves possible by aiming mostly forward. Now, since we need any type of leaf in order to make the leaf litter, using an azalea tree is one of the best just because it produces a lot of leaf blocks only from a single sapling. And it's also better than using like a birch tree because we don't need to detect the actual tree growing, which takes up a lot of room compared to the azalea tree, which will create updates so we can have more room to have water to collect all the items, which keeps the design overall really simple. And you can build this farm by using the world download or the schematic linked below. So using all these systems together, I was able to actually make an automatic leaf litter farm in Minecraft. Now see how I designed an automatic farm for every single item in the game in Minecraft with this playlist here. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!